Imagine climbing into a flimsy wire cage perched directly above a roaring engine and a spinning pusher propeller, all while braving the freezing, hostile skies of World War I. That was the reality for the rear gunners of the Caproni Ca-36, a monumental Italian heavy bomber. Today, this massive wood and fabric leviathan dominates the early years gallery at the National Museum of the United States Air Force in Dayton, Ohio. But how did this fragile giant survive over a century of war, weather, and time to end up in Ohio? This story is a wild ride. Designed by Italian aviation visionary Gianni Caproni, the Ca-36, the definitive design in a family of aircraft that started with the Caproni Ca-31, was a technological marvel of its era. Caproni was an early believer in the concept of strategic bombing, and he built this aircraft to deliver devastating payloads deep into enemy territory. The bomber boasted a massive 74-foot wingspan and a highly unusual 3-engine twin-boom configuration, with 2 tractor propellers pulling from the front and wooden pusher propeller at the rear. It was a beast of the skies. During the First World War, American pilots, including the famous Foggiani, who trained in Italy, actually flew these massive machines into combat, proving that the long-range strategic air power was a devastating new reality. But the survival story of this specific Ca-36 on display in Dayton is almost as thrilling as its World War I combat record. After its retirement from military service in the 1920s, the aircraft was retained by the Caproni family and placed on display at the initial location of the Gianni Caproni Museum of Aeronautics. When the ravages of World War II threatened Italy decades later, the family knew this priceless piece of aviation history was in danger of being destroyed. To protect their heritage, they went to extraordinary lengths. They completely dismantled the giant bomber and secretly hid the pieces inside an abandoned monastery near Milan. There, it sat safely in the shadows, outlasting the destructive forces of the Second World War. After the war, this aircraft, like many others, had been spread across northern Italy to help preserve their individual existences, were brought back together in the northern Italian city of Trento. There it was on display in various states of repair until that museum fell on hard times in the 1980s. It wasn't until 1987 that the National Museum of the United States Air Force secured the aircraft. Museum specialists then undertook a meticulous, painstaking restoration process, piecing the giant back together and outfitting it with its original Fiat engines. Today, the aircraft is accurately marked to represent the exact bomber flown by American First Lieutenant Leroy Kiley during the Great War. Standing beneath its sprawling canvas wings in Dayton today, you can't help but feel the immense courage it took to take such a fragile, groundbreaking aircraft into enemy fire. If you're fascinated by the incredible stories behind these early pioneers of flight and want to see more surviving legends of the skies, click on the playlist on screen. I'll take you through more incredible histories of the aircraft preserved at the National Museum of the United States Air Force and beyond. See you in the next video.